Well, it certainly doesn't feel like it's been 3 months since the start of Volume 6. From October 27th, when it first aired, to today, January 26th, Volume 6 is now at its close with the finale airing today. I'm not going to give my overall impressions of the episode until after the review, just to avoid any spoilers for those who want to experience it in full without any preconceived notions of going in. Though, I will say, I was surprised it was only 15 minutes. I would have thought for the finale it would have been a little bit longer, but anyway, spoiler warning for those who haven't seen the episode just yet. I'm not going to be showing the episode or clips from it in this video, just images of the episode and analyzing those. I'll leave a link down in the description below so you guys can go to Rooster Teeth first and support the series that we all love. Now, episode starts off out in a clearing where a ship is coming in. Neo is bringing it to Cinder, and we get to see their new outfits that they are likely going to be wearing in Volume 7. Now, those outfits look fantastic. Cinder has given up her red aesthetic and switched it out for a more dark black aesthetic, similar to Grimm, and she's not even hiding the Grimm arm that much. Yes, there's a bit cloak over it, but as we saw with her outfit back in Volume 4 and 5, she had the arm completely covering and hiding the Grimm arm. Not to mention earlier this season she had it wrapped in cloth to avoid it as well. But now it seems like she's just having it out in the open. Neo as well is wearing a little less fabric, I should say, although she fits her aesthetic very well and she looks quite nice. They take the ship to Atlas, and that's all we see of them this episode, actually. But Cinder does leave us with some parting words. She says to Neo, you know, someone once asked me if I believe in destiny, and I'm happy to say that I still do. A throwback to Volume 3. Some of the last words, or maybe the last words, that Pyrrha ever spoke, was asking Cinder, do you believe in destiny? And Cinder does. She still does. Not sure exactly what it's foreshadowing, but, well, probably that destiny is going to take its course and someone's going to get what they deserve, potentially. But maybe there's something related to Pyrrha or something along those lines, but we'll end up having to see in Volume 7. After that, it cuts back to the Leviathan that's still approaching the town. Cordovan, still in the mech, with the arm completely useless, with ice and rock dust weighing it down, is blaming Team RWBY, saying that it's all their fault, that they're to blame, they're the cause of this situation, etc., etc. Blake and Yang end up showing up, realizing, okay, there's something else we need to take care of now, this giant Grimm. So they all hop in the ship that can somehow still fly after crash landing, taking 2 cannon blasts and a rocket. Gotta give it to Atlas, they know how to build ships. Not so much with the mechs, though, there's some flaws there. But they fly off and go towards Leviathan. Cordovan, at this point, is continuously getting calls from the Argus base for reinforcements. What's your status? Help! Is finally kind of realizing maybe they aren't completely at fault. At least that's what her facial expression seems. As they're flying over towards the Leviathan, though, Blake is kind of blaming herself as well, saying that this entire situation is her fault for not taking down the radar, and then Cordovan gets the mech out and panics the city, draws the Grimm. But I'm not so sure. It might actually be a better situation that the radar's not down, because if it wasn't... Yeah, the panic of the city probably had something to do with the Grimm being drawn, but remember, there's also the relic there and other things that were going on, so potentially the Grimm could have been drawn already by the relic, and just a panic by the city redirected it towards the city. It's possible that having the radar still up was beneficial, that they could prepare in advance. Not 100% sure, but anyways, still not her fault because it was kind of Adam who did it. RWBY and Yang comfort her, but Maria also points out, playing a bit of the devil's advocate, you know, while everyone, including the military, is focused on something else, this kind of gives us the perfect opportunity to fly away to Atlas. Of course, no one's going to go for that because they are protectors of the city. They need their huntresses. They will fight the Grimm and protect the people to the end. Then we see the actual Grimm itself as it's approaching the city. And you know what? I gotta give credit to the people of Argus. They are such nice people. They're standing there on the hillside waiting to greet the damn thing. Now, I don't care how much faith you have in the military and the people protecting you. You may, and yes, you may want to see everything that's happening, but as the Grimm is approaching the city and is not that far away, why would you be standing there waiting to see what happens? I'm not saying, run in panic, because in this world that would only draw more Grimm, but at least just say, you know what, I'm just going to walk the other way and get out of there. It seems like common sense to me, but apparently not. They were actually able to put up the light dust shields that they had around Argus. There were 2 different rings of them, and although they are extremely strong, the Leviathan Grimm can actually breathe fire, and even as it hits the dust shields, it's fine. The shields are fine. However, I will say that they aren't the best design. As it's designed, there are rods that raise up from the sea, and then shields connect between them. But of course, there's a glaring weakness to that. The rods themselves still are exposed. The Grimm, all it has to do is just blast the shield and keep its fire going across it until it hits one of the poles. And then the entire shield's down. Not even just one section of it, but the entire darn thing. So Leviathan breaks through, and Team RWBY and everything's just like, okay, we have a plan. Well, RWBY has a plan. One thing that could work. What is that one thing, people might say? Well, as someone pointed out back in my review of episode 12, this was kind of spoiled in RWBY Chibi back in the summer when there was a giant Grimm attacking the city, and, well, everyone was asking, if there was only someone who had a power that could disable a giant Grimm immediately, and RWBY said, not the season finale. Well, guess what? It's the season finale, and what's the only plan that they come up with? Using the Silver Eyes. So the plan is wait until the Grimm gets to the next shield and stops moving, and then get in there and use the Silver Eyes. So that's what they plan. Ren and Jean mask the ship, Nora and Yang distract the Grimm, and RWBY, riding on Weiss's summon, the Queen Lancer, can get over there and stand in front of the Grimm and prepare to use her Silver Eyes. And to do this, she goes into her own mind and starts recalling things of her past, experiences that she had, her time at Beacon, and some of the most heart-wrenching times that she's had, where her emotion was at her highest, including Penny and Pyrrha, as she saw both of them die. So you'd think that that might be enough, but not quite, as she opens her eyes and what's staring her right in the face? The Leviathan, mere feet away, I guess. It's getting ready to swallow her whole. And she realizes, as I'm pretty obvious, well, the relic. She still has that, and being that close to the Grimm, that's what's drawing its attention. Now, as the Grimm goes to swallow her, she, in the last moments of panic, calls out for Jin. So we do get to see Jin again, and I'm happy to say that in my Relics video, I called this. That, when Jin was summoned the first time, we could see that the snow was slowing down to fall. It seemed like the relic stopped time, and lo and behold, that's what happens. It looks like time was slowed down to a crawl, maybe not stopped completely, but I'm pretty sure it was damn near close to being stopped completely. And Jin, not too happy about that, even saying, I'm not going to let that happen again. You don't have a question for me, I'm not going to help you out another time. Although she does say that was clever of her. So RWBY goes back into her own mind to recall more from her past, and it ends on another image of Summer Rose, which, seeing her in this animation style, was quite nice, and actually, brings a tear to the eye, remembering her. Well, I guess not necessarily remembering her, but seeing RWBY remember her, because we haven't really seen her in the series. I'm still hoping for a Team Stark spinoff, but I digress. That ends up working, and she freezes the Grimm. So the Silver Eyes have worked. Sort of. It seems in this case the petrification was only a shell to the Grimm, not actually the entire Grimm itself, so of course RWBY still has a long time to master her Silver Eyes, because frankly, if she mastered them right now and was able to take out this entire Leviathan, little bit too broken, because then any Grimm ever would be just useless now, but there's still time for her to master it. So the Grimm starts shaking it off, his head is popping out, and out of the blue, Cordovan comes running over. With abandoning the cannon arm, it seems like there might have been an eject button or she just wrenched it hard enough to rip it off, but she does have another weapon on the mech. The cannon wasn't the only thing. As I mentioned in previous videos as well, that mech was very poorly designed with only a cannon and a shield. Could do better, but yes, there's a drill in that arm, and she runs over saying, "It's my duty to protect the people," and slams the Grim with the drill, and that's enough to kill it, because it goes right into its body and kills it. And then Cordovan lets RWBY go. She says, "You know what? The Atlas military can take care of the Grim, the rest of the Grim that are flying around. And I'm sure in my lengthy report, no one would notice if an extra ship went missing." And so RWBY thanks her, and they are able to actually go on their way to Atlas. And as they're on their way, Cordovan, or Maria, actually points out to Crow, "You know, you did good today. And you were able to be there to help them when they needed it. You caught them when they fell," and gives Crow a little attaboy for the fact that he has kind of gotten over his drinking a little bit. RWBY hugs him, and, you know, there's a little heartfelt moment there. And then we see everyone else talking in the back. Team RWBY, Team Juniper, as well as Oscar. And they're all saying, "You know, RWBY, you were a bit crazy there, and pretty impressive after petrifying a Leviathan as well as jumping right into a cannon." But she also points out, you know, Oscar kind of crash-landed a ship. But he didn't do it alone. He had some help from inside his own mind. Ozpin guided him. Didn't take control or anything, but it's good to know that he's still looking out for everyone, that he's still present, and obviously we're going to see him again. Well, maybe not see him again, unless it's an image within Oscar's own mind, but he's going to play a role in future volumes as well, and I'm glad to see that he came back out for the finale. Then, as everyone is flying over to Atlas, we see what the actual city looks like, and it is quite impressive. There's a giant, like, citadel, which I'm guessing is the school itself, that is on a piece of floating land. Obviously used gravity dust to have it floating like that, that has chains that are holding it in place, and that's an impressive looking city, I gotta say. But also with the city, we see the Atlas military. Knowing that all the ships have been brought back, they're all hovering over top of the city. So they're preparing for war. And then the credits start rolling. But hopefully if you watch the episode, you skipped ahead a little bit, because as with most seasons, there's a little bit after the credits, and in this case we see Mercury and Emerald as they're looking out the window, kind of shocked, appalled, not really too happy with what they're seeing, because they see Salem out there, and she's creating new Grimm from the pools of darkness. I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but the Barangles, the giant gorilla Grimm that we saw at the beginning of Volume 4, and she's giving them a little extra boost. She's giving them wings. So, a real reference to the Wizard of Oz here with the Wicked Witch and her winged monkeys. But yeah, she sees them have an entire fleet, and Hazel actually comes in and gives us some final parting words as well, saying, you know, there is an old saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And that's where the episode leaves off, and that might mean that Salem might be leading the attack on Atlas herself. Holy crap, do I want to see that happen. That would be absolutely incredible to see that in Volume 7, and I'm looking forward to Volume 7 so much after this. But as a finale for Volume 6, I gotta say it was kind of anticlimactic. Volume 6 has been extremely strong so far, with the fight on the train to start it off, and then the progression from there through the Brunswick farms and the apathy, dealing with the past of Ozpin, learning about Salem, the gods themselves, and everything building up to this point. Once the mech kind of got introduced, that side of the storyline kind of felt bland in comparison to the finales that we've had for Volume 4. I really liked the Nukkalavi. Volume 5, yeah, there were issues with it, but there was the fight between the Maidens as well as the attack on Haven, and Volume 3 especially. Like, the volumes, in my opinion, have had quite strong finishes. And yes, this volume did have the fight with Adam, which was fantastic, but this entire thing with the mech and the final episode, having the entire thing with Adam conclude in episode 12, this last episode kind of felt lackluster. Yes, there was some arose and images from the past thrown in, which made it very, very sentimental and nice to see. As I mentioned, it did bring a tear to my eye, and I was still touched by the episode, but overall it did feel lacking. The fight with the Grimm didn't seem as intense as it has in previous volumes. And yes, I know, having the silver eyes and everything, and I know that there can't always be a struggle for RWBY to come up and activate the silver eyes. She can't always see, someone dying in front of her for her to be able to activate them. She's going to have to activate them on her own, but I just feel like if there was a little bit more of a battle, throw in some fights with the Chimeras, or the Manticores and the Sphinx. I keep getting the Chimeras and Manticores confused, but yeah, throw in some fights with the Manticores and the Sphinxes. Show us some more action, because, the episode was only 15 minutes long. This season was only 13 episodes long. Yes, when we got the flashback with Salem's past and Ozpin's past, it was a 23-minute episode, barring, the opening, closing, and the trailers that are thrown in there. But I went back and looked at Volume 5. The episodes for Volume 5, 14 of them averaged around 16, 17 minutes. There were episodes that were 23 minutes long, multiple ones. And then most of them were around 15 minutes long. This volume, we had one episode that was 26 minutes, the flashback, including, as I mentioned, the openings, closings, everything, but a majority of them were only like 10 minutes. Yes, this was a stronger volume, and I do prefer a stronger volume versus longer content. But I still feel like each week we could have gotten just a little bit more, extra minute or two, something. Because I talked to a few people and, the length was bothering them. But again, getting a little bit sidetracked. As for the overall things that we can take away from this episode, well, Cordovan, I don't know how well she's going to keep her job. When she first got out the mech and was defending the city and everything, everyone was coming to her defense. She's doing her job. She's defending the people of Argus. Team RWBY was definitely in the wrong. They broke into the military base and took a ship. Stealing from the military is a big no-no, but the way that Cordovan handled everything, well, the mech is kind of overkill. You could have scrambled just a fleet of ships to take care of that, and that probably would have done the job a lot better, because she got very overconfident and very arrogant in her power, as RWBY even pointed out. Yeah, RWBY is still at fault for doing this, but Cordovan didn't handle it very well either. Yes, she kind of redeemed herself in the end, but then again, she also didn't fulfill her military duties by letting RWBY and everyone go. True, they showed that they were protecting the people, and that was their priority. They could have gotten away, but they didn't, and I'm sure that's the point that the animators were getting across, but Cordovan could have even added in a second little line saying, if she had worded it differently, like saying, I have to go deal with these Grimm. If you're still here when I get back, you're all going to prison. Something like that, or you're all under arrest. Like, something that's not just, I'm letting you go, but something saying like, well, it's my job to defend the people first. I'll deal with you afterwards if you're still here. Hint, hint, get the hell out of here. That would have, in my opinion, protected her job a lot better and everything. I know the rest of the military didn't hear what she said and everything like that, but I don't know. I feel like they could have done Cordovan's bit in this volume a little bit better. Now, as I mentioned before, this episode kind of felt a little bit anticlimactic for a finale of a volume, but I feel that the true finale of the volume was last episode with Adam's conclusion, and this is kind of more a prelude to what to expect in Volume 7. We have so many major players going to be in Atlas. We know that Tyrion and Watts are going to be there, Cinder and Neo, as well as Team RWBY and everyone else. Now we also know that Ironwood has brought all of his fleet back and is preparing for battle. Does that mean Ironwood knows about Salem's attack somehow? Or maybe there's something else going on there. Maybe he's just in a little bit of a frantic state thinking that, well, an attack could happen, may as well be ready for one at any time. But then Salem is creating all of those minions, the flying Burringles, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and preparing for battle as well. And from what Hazel said, she might be leading the charge herself. Volume 7, I have really high hopes for, dealing with everything in Atlas, the politics, the way that the overall public looks down on Faunus and looks down on commoners and things of that sort. There's so much that Atlas and going through that city and the battles and all the people that we are going to see, there's so much to look forward to in Volume 7. I have really high hopes for it because Volume 6 has picked it up from Volume 5. I'm hoping Volume 7 takes it a step further. For a finale episode, it was good, but I don't think it was at the same level as the rest of Volume 6. I'm still, of course, going to continue to support RWBY, and all throughout the summer I'm going to be making RWBY videos ideally every single week, hopefully multiple per week, so hopefully you guys will stick around and keep on watching, as I have quite a few ideas for things that I can go over about different theories and different things about people's semblances and what to expect or possibilities with different characters. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I'm hoping that you guys will continue to support my channel. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure to comment down below what you guys thought of this episode, the volume in general, and how you think it compares. What was your favorite point in Volume 6? What were the high points? What were the low points? Do you think, similar to me, that this was kinda anticlimactic? Or do you guys think that, no, this was a very good end as well? Let me know down below. I look forward to discussing with all of you, and I'll make sure to see you guys in the next video.